Hi everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. Welcome to Moffett Mazda, our first trip here to Moffett Mazda in Bossier City, Louisiana. We're going to take a look at the all-new for 2024 Mazda CX-90. It replaces the CX-9 and it's wider, has more horsepower, more interior space. It's an overall a little bit larger vehicle. Going to have more cargo capacity, and gone is the 250 horsepower engine that was under the hood of the CX-9. And so here we are with three different engine options, one of which is a plug-in hybrid. So depending on your situation and what you would like to buy and or have, I think Mazda has you covered where this is concerned. And so today's video is meant to see if this is the new standard for the three-row mid-size SUV segment. I tell you what, it's definitely a luxurious vehicle, has some very nice features, and I'm going to do something for you that I don't know if anybody else has done in one of these videos. Stay tuned to find out exactly what that is. One of the things I like about this CX-90 is that if it pulls up behind you at a red light, nobody's going to mistake it for a competitor. LED lighting is going to be everywhere you look with the LED headlights. We're going to have the LED daytime running lights and the combination with the turn signal indicator right here. That's why you want to make sure you use your blinkers, your turn signals when you're driving down the road, because they look so cool in this case. People will be impressed in multiple ways. You're going to have the chrome surround not only here above but below. It works its way down onto the lower portion of the grille. That is a nice gloss black grille with that Mazda logo in the center. And for those who don't like chrome, I think in this particular case, Mazda did a really good job of getting away with it. It fits, it works, it looks right. We're also going to have the active air curtain right here that's going to allow air to flow through the front end. That improves aerodynamics, it reduces drag. Let's see if I can give you a look at the fact that there is indeed daylight coming through there. I'll show you from this particular side. There you go. So you can definitely see that it is indeed active. And you saw the sensors up here. So you're going to have things such as lane keeping assist, road departure. All of that is going to be here. And when you look from the side, it's hard not to see that this is the longest nose on a Mazda SUV. Multiple engine options available depending on your situation. So we're going to take a good look at what's under there in just a minute here. But I do want to look at some more of the styling here. You've got the inline six-cylinder obviously under the hood, and kind of almost a butter knife look, especially being chrome like that. It looks like a butter knife, but I like the fact that it's not only here in this area, but you have a little bit of a different look, but something kind of similar when you look down on the door sill down here. The Mazda logo down here to finish everything off. And I like the fact that there's a lot going on here with these side view mirrors. They obviously had the body colored mirror caps. Turn signal indicators are built in. I know that's your favorite, one of your favorites, but you also have blind spot monitoring, power adjustable, heated, and they have a memory setting. So depending on who's driving, they can set things up the way they want. They will also tilt down when you put the vehicle into reverse. And the other question that I know a lot of people like to have answered, let's look at the remote and see what all is here. As you can see, you've got all of your features and functionality there on the side, not on the face of the remote, but a very clean look. Body color on the door handles, a little more gloss black here. We're gonna have those roof rails up there. And something that a lot of people don't think about in this day and age, but I know from what some of you have said in the comment section, you like this. A good old-fashioned gas cap. You don't have the capless fuel fill there, so I know a lot of you are going to like that. And here's something interesting to note. Notice what we have right here. Well, as we finish things off, we have a little bit of a similar look right here with the windows, at the lower portion of the window with the trim down there. And then a nice roof spoiler to help channel that air over the rear window to keep that nice and clean when driving down the road. That is purposeful. It not only looks good, but it has a purpose. And we finish things off here with the LED taillights. A very nice look, the CX-90 logo down here. And no matter what model of the CX-90 you choose to buy, this is what it's going to have. While it's built on a rear-wheel drive platform, this is an all-wheel drive vehicle. A little more chrome back here to finish things off, as you can see, overall a very clean look. And just because I know if somebody asks in the comments section, I'm gonna wish I had done it, yes, I'm gonna show you those power adjustable heated memory mirrors in action. They do fold, like I said. Here under the hood, that I like having the hood struts here to hold things up, to help open it, keep it open. You don't have to go hunting around for the prop rod to show off the 3.3 liter inline turbocharged 6-cylinder. It makes 369 pounds-feet of torque, mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. And there is what I promised you I was going to do that I don't know that anybody else has done. I'm going to show you what's under this plastic cover for this engine compartment. So that's what you'll ultimately have, and that's very easy to do, by the way, in case you were wondering. I don't know if you saw what I did. Let's see if we can get that back in place. All we're going to do is turn those right there. That makes things very simple. What about those all-important MPGs? Well, here's what we have with this particular model. 23 city, 28 highway, 25 combined, and 4 gallons of gas with that 3.3 liter inline 6-cylinder under the hood is what Mazda says you should use. And you can see I've locked the vehicle. So in case you were wondering, when the vehicle is locked, yes, you can lock the gas door. It is all-wheel drive, like I said. That's a standard feature. What about our tire sizes here? A lot of meat on the ground. I pretty much can't even get my hand all the way from one side to the other. 275 will be your width, a 45 series sidewall. That's going to help contribute to good ride quality, wrapped around the very nicely done with 21-inch wheel. And if you want to tow with your CX-90, you can tow up to 5,000 pounds. And there is a sensor under here. I'm going to just kick my foot under there. You can also swipe your foot across. Makes it very simple to do that. We're looking at 14.9 up to 74.2 cubic feet of cargo capacity. Obviously, you can maximize that by lowering these rear seats. That's a little easier to do with 2 hands instead of 1. And for the ultimate tailgating experience, you do have a little power back here with the 12-volt power outlet. We're going to have some hangers right here, as well as the LED lighting. A little bit of space underneath the floor with some tools in case you need to change a tire, whatever the situation is there. And let's talk a little bit about going all the way with maximizing cargo capacity. You're not going to use this release up here to do that. You're going to use this one. You're just going to pull up on that. But that's how you're going to maximize your cargo capacity. Now, let's get into some of the most important details that I know a lot of you are going to want to know about. Let's talk about interior space. And yes, there is a panoramic sunroof. And looking into a very luxurious interior, high-end materials, nice comfortable armrests. A lot of the time when you use the poke test, as if you're testing for the doneness of a steak, that doesn't really do much for you. But in this case, my finger sinks quite far down in there. Using the ultimate armrest test, put my arm on there, that is definitely comfortable. Gonna have the nice wood grain material here. Also, the privacy shades. So if somebody's wanting to stalk you or whatever the case is when you're sitting in the back seat, well, you can hide yourself away to a varying degree at least. And before we hop into the back seat and check out the leg room back there and other features and functionality, here's one thing to note. Whoever's sitting in that rear seat, the third row back there, is not just stuck with a certain amount of leg space. I have the passenger side seat moved probably to a realistic amount of distance forward compared to the seat here on the driver's side that's all the way back. Unless one of the really small kids is sitting there, that seat's probably not going to go forward any more than that. Although it can actually go up and touch the back of the seat in front of it. Probably not going to happen. And there is a pass-through right here, so if somebody wants to hop through there, well, obviously they could, but they're really supposed to do this. In fact, there you can see the tracks that the seats slide back and forth on. So let me hop on up in here and we'll see how much leg room we have on each side. You know what? This really isn't too bad. So, my feet are a little uncomfortable right there, but overall, not too bad. I could put my foot there with the pass-through. That's going to help. Pretty comfortable back here, to say the very least. And let's see here. A little bit of space above my head at 5'10", but if I slide over here to the passenger side, well, obviously that gives me quite a bit more leg space. So there are options where that's concerned. And by the way, you can go with 6, 7, or 8 seats within the interior. So are some options there, a couple of cup holders right here, and USB connectivity, and a nice view out of that panoramic sunroof. And by the way, I did want to show something. I needed to push the driver's side seat over here a little further back. So it's all the way back now. Let's see what that does for leg space. It's obviously going to decrease it, but it's just good to know what's here. But you know what? Even at 5'10", I could still sit back here for a little while and be okay. And taking a look from the position of the middle row seats, we're going to have the nice seat back pockets here on both sides. Very tastefully done designs on the seats. And then here we'll have the command center for the air conditioning. So you can obviously control the temperature. We're going to turn that way down and just leave that on for a little while. We can change our fan speed, as you can see right there. And then we have the dual USB ports and obviously the dual air conditioning vents right there. And one thing you might notice, other than the potential cup holders you could use there in the door bins, well, what other options are there? Right there. Kind of an out-of-the-way setup, which I really like what Mazda has done here with that. Those are concealed away on the side of the seat. It's making really good use of available space. And depending on how your CX-90 is set up, you could actually have another center console right there, very similar to this, but in this particular case, we don't. And by the way, this is white Nappa leather that you're looking at as far as the interior goes. We're going to have, again, very soft to the touch and to the armrest test. Armrests right here. Nice space within the door bin right there. More of that wood grain material. And just like I said, nice materials throughout. We'll take a quick look here at the power passenger seat. Obviously, we're going to have power for the driver and the passenger. Heated only in this case, but ventilated is available. So we'll hop on inside here and get set correctly. Again, something I really like here. If you sit down in the interior, looking at the air conditioning vents, the surround, everything that's here, even down to that 12.3-inch infotainment screen, it doesn't look like anything else on the market. I like that. I like the fact that the start-stop button for the engine is pointed at the driver, pointed in the right direction, driver focused. That's always a good thing. And then we're going to have the gloveless glove box. I never find gloves within these glove boxes, but you know what? I guess you could put some gloves in there, quite a few. We're going to have some nice felt material right here. That is very comfortable, to say the very least. We could give you a ASMR experience, right? And then we're going to have the wireless charging pad right here, 12-volt connectivity. We've got a couple of 12 volts in the vehicle. We're also going to have our cup holders right here, your shifter. I probably don't have to tell you too much about what is here as far as all of this goes. And then we're going to have a Bombay door style setup, quite a bit of space in there, and a couple more options on USB connectivity. Obviously, you're going to see something here that seems to be kind of going by the wayside. You know, not my sunglasses falling out of the sunglass holder, but the fact that there is a sunglass holder. There it is. There's the control for your shade. In fact, I'm going to close that shade so it makes it a little bit easier when we hop over into the driver's seat to avoid any glare as far as the instrument cluster goes. But you can see that you do have the shade right there. That definitely makes a big difference. More of that nice wood grain material right here. Can you hear that? That's not cheap. That's a good thing. You can hear the thickness. That means durability. It's going to be sturdy. It's going to hold up over the course of time. And then up here, we'll control everything, including those heated seats I was talking about that we're not going to need for quite a few months now here in Northwest Louisiana. But you do have your dual zone climate control here, tri-zone, obviously, with what we have in the rear. And everything works really nice and looks really nice. You have an added bonus, if you live in a cold climate at least, where it's cold a lot longer than it is around here, in that there is also a heated steering wheel function for the driver. And as we take our first step into the driver's seat, before we do that, let's just take a look at what we have here on the driver's side door panel. For the most part, the same things we saw on the passenger side, but obviously you can control all the windows, those mirrors that have so many great functions as well. And one thing I couldn't show you from the passenger seat is the fact that you can adjust the steering wheel. It's a power adjustable steering wheel, tilt and telescopically adjustable. I probably don't have to tell you too much about all that is here as far as the different features and functionality go. But one thing that I noticed that I like as far as the driver goes is the fact that you don't have to look around the steering wheel to find the button to start the engine. It's right here in plain view, easy to get to. Not every vehicle's like that, so kudos to Mazda in that respect. We're going to have not only a 12.3-inch screen for the digital dash, but also the 12.3-inch screen. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a few seconds. Here is the steering wheel. Like I mentioned, it is a leather-wrapped heated steering wheel. We're not going to be using that here in Northwest Louisiana for quite a few months, probably until next November. And then there is a good look at the steering wheel as far as your steering wheel-mounted controls go. I think you know what all is there. I don't have to tell you too much about that. A nice look. It looks elegant. But one thing that I know a lot of your vehicles don't have, yeah, you can control your lighting from the exterior or for the exterior of the vehicle right here if you want to. But this lever overall, I know a lot of you don't have that on your vehicle. If you wonder what that is, when you're turning to the right or changing lanes to the right, you push it into the up position. See that arrow right there? It means that your exterior blinkers are on. Same thing to the left. It goes into the down position. I know a lot of you don't have that on your vehicles, so forgive me for the quick tutorial, even though you can't use it. Okay, I can't say anything sarcastic or funny about what we have right here, but a simple system to use. We do have controls for the front and rear window wipers. That definitely makes a big difference. Now, here's the thing. But don't get upset just yet. This is one of the easiest, if not the easiest, non-touch screens I've ever seen. It's not a touch screen, but you will use the scroll wheel down here and the buttons around it. This is so easy to use. I just hopped in here a few minutes ago for the first time, and it's just super simple. I've already paired my phone. All you have to do is push down, and you're going to already choose what you have. As far as what you're going to do there, it makes it super simple. And we have the back button right here. We can go there. We also have built-in navigation. That is a good thing. I know a lot of you ask about that if I don't say anything. So now that you know that it's there, well, there you go. Now here's the thing. I paired my smartphone. Apple CarPlay, since I have an Apple device, is obviously here. And so that makes a big difference. That way you can use everything on your phone. It mirrors your phone if you're not familiar with how that works. A very simple system to use, to say the very least. So ultimately, we have a really nice setup right here. I'm very impressed with what Mazda has done. And I know there's going to be varying opinions about the screen not being a touch screen. Well, wait a minute. Look at that. If you pair your phone, it does become a touch screen. I kind of fooled you there. For those of you who have made it to this point in the video, there's your nugget of gold, an Easter egg of sorts. And right here we have the control for the radio. All that good stuff is there. And here is the shifter. In fact, let me just give you a quick tutorial on how to use this. We're going to move over to the right, and then the rear view camera will come on. We have quite a few different cameras, as you can see. We'll get back to talking about that in just a second. And then all I have to do is go back. There we go. And to go back into park, we're going to go over like that. It's that simple. Talked about the cameras. You don't have to be in reverse to use your cameras. That is a good thing. So here are our different views. You can see the overhead 360-degree view, the front view. We have the rear view as well. Obviously, we'll go back over here and take a look at what we have. Let's see. There we go. There's our rear view. I didn't show you the front view camera on the front end earlier, but obviously it is there. So in case you were wondering, now you know. And no, I'm not going to forget to tell you about the driving modes. You've got the drive mode selector right here. You can see what all is there. Now in this case, we have 3 driving modes. You have off-road, you have normal, and then you also have sport. And I did want to show you real quick. I had to get out of somebody's way who was driving through the parking lot because we have kind of tight quarters here. But this is what we have as far as how the dash looks when we change driving modes, just so you can see. You go to normal, well, it looks kind of normal. Well, let's see what happens when we go to off-road. We'll let that set and do its thing. So a little bit of a different look there, but I have to admit, my favorite is obviously going to be Sport. We're not going to be doing any off-roading on the test drive today, so I guess we'll just have to drive in Sport mode, but we'll drive in normal as well. And no, I'm not going to forget to tell you that there are shifter paddles back here, so you can work your way up and down through those 8 gears in the automatic transmission. There's just so much here that I keep having to change scenes and show you. I don't know how well you can see it. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see with the glare. It's kind of bright outside, but there is a nice head-up display as well. There is literally a little bit of everything here, but I promise the next scene is not going to be me showing you, yep, there's a kitchen sink here too. Okay, no kitchen sink to show you, but I do want to give you the chance to hear the 12-speaker Bose audio system that the CX-90 has. So here we go. Okay, just a small sampling before we hit the road for our test drive, but I thought you might be curious to know what that sounds like. Okay, being that we're coming from a brand new dealership that I've never been to before, you're going to get to see areas of Northwest Louisiana you probably haven't seen before. So here we go out on our test drive with the CX-90, and look at that. It's just now starting to rain. We beat that and timed that perfectly. So I'm driving in normal mode right now, and acceleration seems to be absolutely no problem. Obviously, traction is not going to be a problem because we have all-wheel drive, even though it's not too wet at the moment. But just kind of cruising around, you can feel that that horsepower is more than enough for this particular SUV. I don't know that I'm going to be in a place where I can really test that too aggressively. I try and be kind of careful not to go too far with that on these test drives, but just so I can give you an idea of where we are and what we have, I feel pretty confident that the power to weight ratio here is good. A nice, comfortable interior. I like the responsiveness of the steering. It does have the multi-link rear suspension, so that's going to help to smooth the ride out. One thing I really like here that Mazda has done with the CX-90, something you don't always get. You either have one or the other, but not a good balance. The suspension is tuned to be very much of a driver-focused experience. So if we were out on a twisty road, I could probably really enjoy the handling characteristics of this CX-90, but at the same time, it also has a comfortable ride quality. And even though we're kind of in the ultimate place to test out ride quality here in Northwest Louisiana, the roads are not perfect here. I can tell based on my regular experience of what I normally drive that this CX-90 is soaking up the bumps pretty well. The seats themselves are nice and comfortable. And the only thing that I have left to do here is to go into sport mode, which we're going to do right now. When we take our right up here at the light, we'll cruise on down the road and see what we can do as far as giving you a little bit of an idea on performance. All right, here we go. We got a green. We got here at the right time. Didn't have to wait for 10 minutes like you normally do at this red light. And, well, yeah, that's right. I got my buddy Jay here in the passenger seat. He laughed because he knows it's true. So let's just give it a little bit of gas. You know, one thing about an SUV of this size, being a mid-size SUV, obviously I'm going to have to stop for the light here. We don't want to get a viral video for the wrong reasons, but it's not a full-size SUV, but it's most certainly not a subcompact by any means, a small SUV. So the thing is, it got up to speed quicker than it felt like it was. I was at 50 miles an hour pretty quick there, so I have to say, I'm rather impressed. And even though it's hard for you to see likely, even though I have you at a little bit of a different position than I normally would with the camera, the head-up display is nice and bright, easy to see. It helps that it's not real bright out today because we have the cloud cover and everything, but this is a very enjoyable vehicle to drive. The handling characteristics are good. It's nice and responsive to the touch of my hand, so to speak, as far as moving the steering wheel goes. And I like the fact, a lot of the time you don't think about this until you get into a vehicle you haven't driven before, but the brake pedal seems to be well balanced. A lot of the time you get into a vehicle you're not used to, and you're either having to push harder on the brake because it's too soft, or you're brake checking yourself or maybe your passengers. But overall, for being my first experience driving the CX-90, I must say I'm impressed with what I've experienced so far. So tell me what you think down in the comments section. Is the all-new 2024 Mazda CX-90 the new standard for mid-size 3-row SUVs? Tell me what your answer is and tell me why you answered the way that you did. And by the way, if you want to come in and buy this model or any other model here at Moffett Mazda in Bossier City, Louisiana, check out the link down in the description of the video. That will get you headed in the right direction. Gotta say a special thanks to my friends here at the dealership for loaning me this CX-90 for the day so I can tell you all about it. And a special thanks to all of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn about other vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there.